Have you ever heard of the island of Socotra? A mysterious island that doesn't seem to belong on planet Earth. A place where the trees bleed, and the wind whispers secrets of the past. But beneath its exoticism, there's something no YouTube site has ever revealed. Not just unique nature, but traces of an ancient civilization that the world seems to have forgotten. This is the story of Hidden Socotra, a civilization that hasn't been immortalized, but that could change our history. Imagine a remote island off the southern tip of Yemen, separated from the mainland for millions of years. More than a third of Socotra's plants are found nowhere else in the world. The most famous, the dragon's blood tree. Its sap is red, and it has been considered sacred since ancient times. From the air, the island appears barren, but beneath its cliffs and valleys, life hides. The flora and fauna here have evolved in isolation for over 6 million years. Flightless birds, giant spiders that live only in caves, and strangely shaped plants like bottles. They call it the Galapagos of the East. But that's an oversimplification. Because Socotra isn't just about biology. It's about human history, one that was nearly erased. Early records refer to Socotra as Dioscorida, a mysterious island on ancient Greek maps. Ancient explorers believed the island was inhabited by witches and supernatural sea spirits. Strong winds that consistently blow from the southwest make it difficult to reach for most of the year. Because of this, locals call Socotra the place where time sleeps. But who were the first humans to live here? The oldest traces have been found in the form of stone tools and metal implements in the Hagir Mountains. However, there has never been a large-scale, internationally supported archaeological excavation. Several independent scientists discover pottery shards and strange artifacts inside the caves. In one cave, there is a carving of a human with sun and snake symbols surrounding it. Is this a symbol of ancient religion? Or just meaningless graffiti? Unfortunately, no one has truly studied it in depth, due to complex access and political issues. But local legends hold valuable clues. They believe that long ago, there were wise men from the heavens who came bringing fire and light. These men were called Al-Katamin, which means the former. But one day, they disappeared without a trace. A great storm came from the southern seas. Some stones in the southwest region of Socotra exhibit unnatural geometric patterns, such as circular, straight, and elongated stone arrangements, reminiscent of megaliths elsewhere. But there were no signs of excavation, no information boards, not even any tourists. The place seemed hidden from the outside world. Perhaps this was just an ordinary pile of stones. Or perhaps it was the remains of a civilization older than any we have ever recorded. A 10th century Arabic manuscript states, "In the middle of the ocean, there is an island inhabited by beings of wisdom." Some 15th century Portuguese maps even marked Socotra with the symbol of the sun and the snake. A symbol synonymous with wisdom and healing power. Many believe that Socotra is a place where the spiritual and physical worlds intersect. There are places where radio signals cannot penetrate, and animals that suddenly disappear and then reappear days later. Some scientists call it a magnetic phenomenon, but the village elders call it a spirit door. During certain seasons, the island is filled with a low mist, even though there is no rain. They call it the breath of the ancestors. Could all these peculiarities be connected? Was this island once home to people who lived before history? Some caves show signs of social life, water holes, remains of fires, and small spaces. But there are no permanent structures like houses. As if those who lived there were just stopping by, or hiding. One of the deepest caves is called Hawk Cave. It is over 3 kilometers long. Inside, inscriptions resembling an alphabet were found, the origin of which remains unknown. Some of the shapes resemble symbols from the Indus Valley and Akkadian. Local scientists lack funding, and the international community seems uninterested. In fact, if a civilization existed here, it could change the history of maritime trade in the ancient world. Perhaps Socotra was once a secret outpost, a gathering place for ancient peoples. A place where they exchanged goods and knowledge. But why did it all disappear without a trace? Was it a natural disaster? Or was it intentional? Socotra holds more than just natural beauty. It holds the mystery of who we are, and where we come from. And the journey has only just begun. In the center of Socotra lies a desolate plateau called the Dixon Plateau. Few people come here, even locals rarely venture deeper. But, scattered across this plateau are large standing stones, defying time. The stone formations are not random. Some are arranged in circles. Some face the rising sun. They call it Nakra, the land that speaks in silence. Is this a burial site, a shrine? Or a former celestial observatory? No plaque. No guards. In fact, no official records. This site is not listed on the Yemeni government's archaeological maps. UNESCO has never touched it. And academic expeditions are virtually non-existent. The only person who ever recorded this place was an independent French archaeologist. His name was Pierre Delacourt. He wrote a journal in 1984, one that was almost never published. In his notes, he mentioned that these stones had strange electromagnetic patterns. His compass spun erratically as he approached. Some of the stones appeared to be etched with geometric symbols. But no one had yet been able to read them. Delacourt believed this was part of an ancient navigation system, similar to ley lines in England or stone structures in Malta. But before further research could be carried out, he disappeared from Socotra without a trace. Some locals said he took a boat to the mainland and never returned. His notes were found in an old inn, covered with sand and mold. If there really is an ancient system at Dixum, who built it? The local tribe believes it was built by Almoharibin, the people of the north. They came before Islam, before boats. Even before the current language. Legend says they brought stones from the sky and planted them as markers. These stones are considered alive, able to respond to wind and time. One certain night each year, the stones are said to glow faintly. There is no proof. But no one dares to deny it. Besides Dixum, there is another, more hidden site, Ras Momi. On its cliffs, there are visible lines that resemble carvings. When viewed from afar, they look like patterns of human faces, suns, and stars. It's strange, because this area is almost uninhabited and incredibly steep. Who would bother carving such high cliffs, if not for something important? Some experts believe this is a form of visual communication between generations. They passed on knowledge through symbols, not writing. But sadly, no attempt has been made to translate these symbols. And every year, some of the carvings disappear, erased by the fierce sea winds. We're running out of time. Socotra continues to erode, before we truly know what's inside. There's also a site the locals call the Boneless Tomb. A symmetrical stone pit. No bodies. No remains. But it's sacred. Locals place dried flowers on it, every 7th day of the full moon. If this isn't a tomb, what is it? A shrine, a time portal? Or, a marker for something buried deeper? Some geologists survey the surrounding soil and discover a large cavity beneath. But when they bring in a drill, a crack appears in the ground, and their tool breaks suddenly. Is Socotra's nature protecting this secret? Or is there something else they don't want discovered? Some caves in the Arhur area also contain stone ruins and small structures. They resemble altars, complete with water holes and small drainage channels. Who built these? Why did they direct the water into the caves? Some believe these are places of cleansing the soul. Locals still sometimes meditate there. And they forbid bringing metal into the room. It's said that outside sounds can't enter the room. Complete silence. It's as if the room doesn't exist in this world. They call it the chamber of heaven and earth, where two worlds meet. Is all this a coincidence? Are all these stones and structures simply creations of nature? Or, were human hands once working silently? Their hands, perhaps older than the history we learn in school. And if there really are traces of them here, why has the world chosen not to record them? Because perhaps, there's a truth we're not ready to hear. Socotra isn't just mysterious on land. It's also mysterious, in its relationship to the sky. Some rock formations on the Dixum Plateau face directly toward the constellation Orion. On a clear night, 3 standing stones form a straight line, parallel to Orion's belt. This resemblance is reminiscent of the pyramids of Giza and Teotihuacan. Is this mere coincidence, or is this celestial symbol intentional? Locals have a legend. Long ago, there was a light from heaven that descended every 200 seasons. They described it as a shooting star that never touched the ground. In certain caves, rock paintings have been found depicting shining objects with trails of light. Some paintings depict small people facing upward, arms outstretched, worshipping. The object is often depicted as carrying ray-like lines. Hawk Cave, one of the largest caves in Socotra, holds an unsolved mystery. The cave paintings inside are estimated to be over 2,000 years old. However, the symbolic style is older than Egyptian, more primitive, yet rich in meaning. Symbols resembling eyes, spirals, and 8-pointed stars are present. The 8-pointed star symbol was once used in Sumer to depict the sky goddess Inanna. Could there be a cultural connection between the Mesopotamian civilization and Socotra? In the deepest part of the cave, there is a carving resembling a celestial map. Some astronomers compare the symbol to the position of the stars in 2500 BC. And surprised the star patterns matched. How could the ancient people of Socotra know the positions of stars so far away? They didn't have telescopes. But perhaps, they had inherited knowledge from older peoples. Some legends even say that the sky was once closer in the past. On certain nights, local elders still gather and teach their children star maps in sand. They call it the long night science, knowledge from the sailors of the heavens. They call it the long night science, knowledge from the sailors of the heavens. Sky sailors? Is this just a metaphor? Or is it a genuine belief that they came from the heavens? Some modern observers link it to the ancient astronauts theory. That perhaps, ancient peoples interacted with extraterrestrial entities. Is it too far-fetched? On the plains of Calancia, large black rocks are arranged in a five-pointed star pattern. And in the center, there is a perfectly round hole, like an altar. The locals forbid anyone from standing in the center of the circle. If you stand there when the moon is full, your soul will be lost, they say. Some paranormal researchers call the place an open-time chamber. They claim compasses don't work in that area. And mysterious voices are heard coming from underground. But again, there's no official scientific documentation. Is this just a myth? Or haven't we researched it seriously enough? Scientists in the field of archaeoastronomy are starting to take an interest in Socotra. Because the star patterns in the cave paintings and the positions of the stone structures are not random. Some even form a natural, solar calendar. On the summer solstice, the shadows of two stones form a straight line toward the east. This is similar to other ancient structures like Stonehenge and Machu Picchu. But Socotra has never been listed as a center of ancient knowledge. Is it because it's too small? Too far away, or too dangerous? If Socotra was once a stargazing hotspot, then whoever lived there possessed knowledge far ahead of their time. And they chose to preserve it, in stone and stars. Modern people only look up at the sky through telescopes. But the ancients, perhaps looked up to the sky to remember their origins. Did they believe the sky wasn't a destination, but rather their original home? And if so, Socotra might not be just an island, but an ancient altar facing the stars, a legacy from those who came long before us. Up there, the stars still shine. And below, the stones of Socotra remain, holding undeciphered messages. The question is no longer, what do they see in the sky? But, what do they know, that we don't yet understand? And why did they hide it on this remote island? Heaven and earth, rock and stars, all converge on Socotra, and we are only just beginning to realize it. Behind the rocks and cave walls of Socotra, there are symbols that have never been understood. These symbols are not mere scribbles. They are like ancient messages waiting to be read. Epigraphists suspect that these carvings originate from a non-Arab civilization, predating the arrival of Islam. Some of the carving patterns resemble Sabaean script, but there are striking differences. The language spoken by the ancient inhabitants of Socotra, called Socotri, is the missing key. Socotri is not ordinary Arabic. It is an ancient South Semitic language that has survived. It cannot be written down. It has only been passed down orally. Linguists call them living fossils of languages spoken 2,000 years ago. And because there was no writing system, the history of this civilization was nearly lost. But there is still hope. Some Socotra elders still know the old stories. They recite the names of their ancestors, the names of the mountains, and the island's guardian spirits. One legend says the stone carvings are prayers for protection from a celestial flood. There is also a symbol resembling an eight-rayed sun, similar to ancient Egyptian icons. But who carved them, when, and for what purpose, all remains a mystery. Some archaeologists note the presence of stone structures resembling sacrificial altars. Right on a cliff overlooking the sea, it seems to communicate with the universe. These markings indicate that Socotra was once a center of ancient rituals. Not just a place to live, but a sacred land for a forgotten civilization. Spiral symbols, zigzag lines, and four-legged animals appear frequently. This motif is unusual in modern Arab culture. French researchers once attempted to interpret this pattern as a kind of seasonal calendar. If true, it would indicate they were well aware of the weather, planting times, and bird migrations. Is there a connection between Socotra and the great civilizations of ancient Asia? Socotra's strategic location on ancient trade routes makes this a strong possibility. It's possible that sailors from India, Egypt, and Arabia stopped here for centuries. One theory suggests that Socotra was once a place of spiritual exile. A place where loners, priests, or shamans from other civilizations went into exile. From there, small communities formed with their own beliefs and systems. That's why their symbols and language differ from those of the outside world. Unfortunately, modernization projects are beginning to encroach on this region. Many ancient symbols have been damaged by the construction of roads and hotels. The local government is beginning to recognize the importance of preserving this heritage. Several researchers are now collaborating with local residents to record Socotra. One such initiative is the creation of a digital Socotra dictionary for future generations. But time marches on, native speakers are aging, and their numbers are dwindling. If not saved now, all these symbols will be lost forever. Socotra isn't just an island. It's a time capsule that hasn't been properly opened. And perhaps, those symbols we don't yet understand, hold the answer to the origins of maritime humanity. Imagine if all those symbols could be read today. What would we find? A map of interconnected ancient civilizations? Or a spiritual story that transcends religion? Asterisk, because here, history is not written in books, but in stone. And those who can read stone will discover our forgotten past. In that cave wall, civilization hides itself. Perhaps not out of fear. When humanity is ready to reread its own history. When technology meets ancestral wisdom, everything can change. Because Socotra is not an island for escape, but for understanding. We need not only scientists, but also listeners, tellers, and protectors of tradition. And that is our collective duty. In every symbol, there's a message. In every forgotten language, there's a soul. And on Socotra, everything is still alive, but waiting to be heard. Don't wait until the symbol is gone. Because what's lost can't always be found again. In the next chapter, we'll explore ancient spiritual traditions and rituals still practiced today, including a mysterious place inside a cave that can only be entered on full moon nights. What is the true function of the cave? A place of healing, meditation? Or a place to summon beings? Let's continue our journey to the deepest reaches of Socotra, a place where the modern world has not yet dared to disturb the ancient world. Behind the silence of the Socotra Mountains, there are caves that even the locals hesitate to approach. They call them the gates of heaven, where spirits come and go. Explorers who dare to enter sometimes never return, or return without a soul. There are testimonies that say time passes strangely inside the caves. Some hours feel like days. Is this a passageway to another world? Or is it just an illusion of space and time? One of the largest caves is called Al-Mafaza, the place of secrets. The walls are covered with ancient symbols, unknown to any civilization. These symbols are not just carvings. Some emit light in the dark. German researchers claim they cannot explain this phenomenon scientifically. Is it energy from underground? Or is it a technological legacy from a forgotten era? One of the most disturbing mysteries is the emergence of strange sounds from underground. But there are no humans in there. The locals believe it is the voice of those who once lived below. Those who live in the ground, not above it. Legend calls them Al-Qadim, the old and hidden ones. They still exist, whispered a village elder, and they don't like to be disturbed. Traces such as carvings of large eyes, handprints, and forked tongues were found on the cave walls. Is this a form of communication? Or a warning from the past? Even more surprising, they bear similarities to symbols found in Egypt and the Indus Valley. Is Socotra connected to the world's ancient civilizations, or was it actually the center of early civilizations? Many spiritualists come to Socotra to meditate, claiming to see the past, or even to communicate with beings of light. One of the oldest rituals is called Napfa, the opening of a gateway between dimensions. This ritual is performed on a moonless night, with a small fire and the sound of a stone flute. In a trance, practitioners claim to see faces from a time before humanity. Scientists call it a hallucination. But how can they describe the same face? One of the faces resembles a carving on Easter Island, the other a closed Moai statue. Is this really an ancient collective memory, accessible only through Socotra? Or is Socotra a repository of human spiritual history that has not yet been fully unlocked? We are still too young to understand what Socotra hides. Perhaps it is not Socotra that is hidden from the world, but rather a world that is not yet worthy of seeing it. And every true visitor will take home not just photos, but unanswered questions. Are we ready to accept the reality that we are not the beginning of it all? Socotra is not just an island. It is an ancient text, untranslated. And we have only read the first page. Because behind every rock, beneath every root, there is a story waiting to be awakened. Civilization is not just about buildings and tools, but about consciousness and inner heritage. And if Socotra truly holds the key, then we must be humble enough to accept it. Not with cameras and theories, but with an open soul. Perhaps that is where the real secret lies. If the story of Socotra moves you, share this video so the world no longer turns a blind eye. Leave a comment. Do you believe there's a forgotten civilization on this island? Click like and subscribe, because there are still many mysterious stories yet to be revealed. Socotra may not be the end of our exploration, but the beginning.